One more speedrunners, noobs, and links. Welcome once again. It's the Idiot Gamer Podcast. Matthew, Angel, it is just you and I.
Yeah, it's cosy in here, isn't it?
I know, it's an IG cuddle.
Oh, it's good.
And we're here because E3 is now over.
It is completely over.
It's over. We had a little bit of a delay because the old World Cup is going on.
Yeah, Andy's still knee deep in the World Cup, so he's not joining us.
Too busy with the footballs to focus on the video games.
Sad times.
Very sad times. But E3 was actually pretty good, wasn't it?
I was surprised because I don't generally spend that much time looking at it. And,
you got well into it.
I did. It helped that I've been suffering with some insomnia recently, so it helped.
Perfect timing.
Instead of me going, well, the stuff's just started and I need to go to bed, I'm just there at like 2 a.m. going, well, I can just watch this now and just make lots of notes. So.
I thought that a lot of the YouTubers and a lot of the media outlets did actually a really good job. Of covering it and adding a little bit of comedy, a little bit of fun to the whole thing. Yeah,
it's really interesting because I follow a lot of sort of computer game stuff on YouTube and I wouldn't have missed out if I hadn't seen it live.
Yeah.
Because I could have seen all the conferences, I could have seen the trailers many times over, interpretations of them and stuff. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really good. I was tuning into the Eurogamer guys and All Time Gaming and Video Gamer. I thought did a pretty good job.
Okay, so we've got it pretty covered because I was watching IGN and GameSpot. So,
nice. You were watching all the serious ones.
It wasn't that serious, but yeah.
IGN are quite sort of official, aren't they?
They're all very, very professional, but it's very difficult for anyone working within the sort of video game genre to take themselves too seriously.
Yes,
because
very true.
That's not the idea of the whole nature of it.
So before we get into all the games, and there's a lot of games.
There are a lot of games.
Before we get into that, I was just looking at some pictures from the convention. It looked ridiculous. Like trying to get to see anything.
Yeah.
Looked like lines of like an hour or something to look over someone else's shoulder while they're trying to play a game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't think I'd enjoy it. I've been to not a computer gaming convention before, but I've been to board gaming conventions in Essen. I've been to like the UK ones. I've been to comic book conventions.
Yeah.
And whilst I like them, I always find them a little bit stressful in terms of the number of people. And with something like video games where, yes, you can try out some of these, but they're only ever going to be demos and things like that.
Yeah.
You don't really need to be there for them. I don't think.
I think you can easily have just the same experience or even better sometimes by watching other people report on it.
Yeah, and to be honest, what they could do is they could have released all of those demos online so that everyone could try them. So,
well, this is the other thing about the value of those conferences, because they get you to sit down and they make a big stink of the whole thing. But really all they're doing is showing you a bunch of trailers, which are then available like 30 seconds later on YouTube.
Absolutely.
So, but talking of which, I think the way we'll do it, first we'll look at the big conferences.
Yep.
And have I forgotten any? Bethesda, Microsoft, PlayStation, Ubisoft, EA and Nintendo.
Well, I don't think we necessarily need to cover EA because we covered it in the last one and they were a shambles anyway.
It was a shambles. Well, that's all we can mention about them, really. But so I think we'll cover those and then I've got a list of like a million other games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Bethesda, let's start there.
Let's start with Bethesda, yeah.
So I think there was some big like announcements, but not very much in the way of actual games.
There were. I mean, like myself and Andy made the prediction. Like I made the prediction that Elder Scrolls 6 would be announced, and Andy said that Elder Scrolls 6 would be announced, and I would be unhappy with it.
Yeah, you were both right.
Andy was more right than me. So,
well, there's not much to be upset about, to be honest, because we didn't really see anything.
Well, this is the problem I've got. So my problem is I was hoping that they would give they'd be like, here's a gameplay sort of like,
come on,
it'll be ready in a year and a half maybe.
Yeah.
What we actually got was we got a teaser trailer that, to be honest, if that game didn't exist, you could still make, because it was just like,
no, the teaser had absolutely nothing to do with the game.
No, it was just like a sort of flight shot across what could be any fantasy landscape with Elder Scrolls.
It was exciting, wasn't it? It was exciting nonetheless.
But the biggest problem,
but Matt, just think about it for a second.
Yeah,
they are making a new Elder Scrolls game.
Are they though? because they've already come out since and said it's in pre-production. So we're not talking about this.
Someone's doing art design and stuff, I guess.
They've already said not only will it be next gen, it won't even be their first game on next gen. So,
oh, is that right?
Yeah. Star Citizen, which we talked about as well, like that will be before
Starfield.
Oh yeah, Star Citizen. Don't talk about Star Citizen.
There was no mention of Star Citizen anywhere.
Well, no, because it's never going to come out.
No.
So Starfield, yeah, you're right. I'm excited for Starfield, but again, there was no information there.
Starfield was also just like Elder Scrolls 3, right? A pretty generic.
Yeah. It was like you could
CGI trailer.
You could have made that trailer without having a game.
Yeah,
and I don't think they've got a game yet. So they already said that Starfield will be next gen, and then after Starfield, you will have Elder Scrolls 6. So,
bloody hell!
So you're talking. Let's say the PS5 is announced at the next E3 because they're going to announce it in E3.
We were predicting 2021, right, for the release of the next gen.
So you imagine Starfield won't be a release date for a release title for that. So you're looking at
Jesus,
and then you're probably looking at about a year to a year and a half. So
2022 or something, 2023. Oh my god!
Yeah. So I'm unhappy just
when did
because
Skyrim come out?
I don't know. You quizzed me on this the other week, and I was
2010.
Something like that.
No, it can't be that old. 2020. Anyway, it's already 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Skyrim.
Yeah. I think maybe 2012.
Shit.
Yeah. So I'm disappointed just because I can't get my grubby little mitts on it.
Yeah, crikey, that does seem like quite a long way off, doesn't it?
But yeah, I think we've got to give Andy the point there because they did announce it, and they announced it, but I wasn't happy with the fact that I can't get my hand on it. So
that's for Andy.
Yeah.
He's not here.
Well, I'm far better giving him this credit now he's not here than if he was sat next to me. So,
but I think it was great to know that those are the titles that they're moving forward with,
Yeah,
even if nothing's happening, because Starfield looks very exciting because everyone's talking about it being like Elder Scrolls in space. If that's the case, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
But again, I need to see more.
Think
of this
like
stuff.
you could be doing your armor, like augmenting your armor, or maybe even augmenting your body and whatever. Ships, you could probably have all kinds of like upgrades and stuff for shit. Oh, the potential would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm
and
excited.
if you could fly between planets and maybe have like open world or semi-open world on multiple planets with different styles, very cool.
I'm tentatively excited for it because
yes.
Again, we haven't seen enough of it to make a judgment on whether that game will be something that I'm interested in or not. But it should be.
So we've started with two things that basically have no information.
Yeah. We've basically talked about things that were like there were tenuous little teaser trailers.
There is one more to add to the tenuous trailer thing: Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
which everyone's obviously very excited about because Doom in 2016 was amazing.
Yeah.
One of my favourite games for several years. Fucking brilliant. And I usually don't like those kind of like fast-paced, kind of like heavy metal, schlock horror kind of things, but I fucking ate it up.
It was very good, but I found it a bit too hectic for my liking. But
turn that difficulty way down, buddy. Turn it way down and just enjoy it.
It was just the intensity and the speed of it. I found not difficult. I just found it like
it's intense.
Yeah.
It is really intense.
But I'm pleased that they did well enough that they can make a sequel, and I'm sure they will do the sequel very well.
And it seems like that's exactly it, isn't it? It seems like they're just going to do the same again. It's like that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
Same again. Hell on Earth was the tagline, so we're thinking that this time the Hell portal has opened up and it's back on Earth.
Yeah.
So we might get to see like some recognisable locations, which would be pretty cool.
I'm wondering if they're going to take, you remember Resistance, Fall of Man, as more of a sort of guide on how that sort of level design will go. But they don't need to look at any other game. They just need to take Doom.
You know where they should put Hell?
Reading?
Swindon. Because Hell on Earth isn't that the Swindon Tourist Board catchline already?
Right, Andy's not here, and you're already giving me a hard time about Swindon. But yeah, you're right. I was born there. It's a hole. I've come to the conclusion that I'm never escaping from that. So yeah,
I think that'd be a great step for him.
I think there's worse places. Like, have you ever been to Swansea?
Swansea is bad.
Yeah.
Not to upset
Milton
our Welsh
Keynes.
friends. There's nice bits of Wales, just not Swansea.
Milton
Keynes is terrible.
Yeah. So
Milton Keynes is terrible.
Perhaps they could have different levels.
Milton Keynes would be great for Doom because you could go through the shopping centre.
Oh yeah,
and you'd always get lost because you'd always be around a different fucking roundabout.
Yeah, you could have one where they strip away the football club from a different location and just put it in there. Ooh, topical.
Those bastards. So yes, Doom Eternal, another, but none of those three games had any info. What did have info?
Fallout 76.
Yes.
They focused almost entirely on it.
Yes. So what do we reckon? I don't really still understand what it is because it's an MMORPG.
No, it's
What
not.
is it?
It's not an MMO. It's a I don't know. Like it's not massively multiplayer online.
An LMO,
it's limited in multiplayer online. So it was really interesting hearing them talk about because, like you said, I don't really get a huge amount of information there.
Yeah.
But what I get the feeling is it's a survival Fallout game, very similar to other Fallout games where you're wandering around. There's other monsters.
Aren't
and
they
stuff
all
like
survival basically?
Yeah. It looks quite pretty from what they showed, but there will be sort of servers where you will have multiple other players on there. But they mentioned the word griefing about 10 or 15 times. Not during the presentation, but during post sort of conference interviews that they gave with IGN and people like that. And they were very keen to sort of say, look, we're working on the ways to stop there being griefing. You know, there's not going to be...
I don't like the sound of that before the game's even
released.
The
fact that they're even having to mention it makes me worry because they know that if there's an online game where people are working together and things and there's an opportunity for PvP, that there will be people who will come in and try and their entertainment is making other people's lives difficult. Now, my issue is if you're building things and you're creating a little town, which it sounds like you could do. Co-op, like you can do it as like a team. What worries me is that will you lose any progression or any of that building if people come in and start griefing
really
you?
suck.
It really would. But I don't think they're going to, in which case...
Is it going to be zoned maybe, a bit like The Division? So like when you're in a PvP zone or something?
Maybe. I don't really know, but it did sound like, there was this talk of nuke codes, so people can get nuke codes, and I'm just like, how does that work? Oh yeah, but there'll be incentives not to use them. It's like, no, if people get nuke codes, they will use them. So it's quite.
Oh, that is worrying as well because also Bethesda has, especially with the Fallout games, has kind of a history of them being full of bugs and loopholes and crap like that. And if it's an online situation, that could lead to some bad stuff.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned around the PvP stuff. Like the idea of a co-op sort of game like that, is good.
So are you saying we could, the four of us, we log on to Fallout 76, we have a town and we build it together, like defences, a bit like a tower defence type
and
of thing.
And then we go out, we do quests and stuff like that.
That sounds good.
No, that sounds lovely. It really does.
That does sound good.
Whether it'll work like that,
yeah, because you'll come back to your base and your base will just be flattened.
Maybe.
There'll just be nothing there.
But the other side of that is if it's got this PvP and they're so concerned about griefing, which it sounds like they are because they've talked about it, that if they limit it so much that your base can't be damaged or you don't lose any progression, well, there's nothing other than minor inconvenience from people killing you. So what's the point in it?
Yeah, true.
So I don't know how they're going to balance that.
And you don't want it to be persistent as well, right? So you have to keep playing. You don't have to go back in every day to just make sure your world is still. Well,
they talked about this. They said as soon as you log out, your town becomes invisible, so they can't be intact while you do that. And then when you come back in, it just magically reappears. But then I'm just thinking, well, how does that work? What if someone's already built there? It's quite. I don't know how it's going to work. There's a few positives. So they've got rid of VATs because they had to, because how would VATs work in PvP? But
that would suck.
And it looked pretty. It really did.
Are there any games like that out there now? Because the whole concept seems a bit weird to me.
There are a few games that do. But it's difficult to know whether Bethesda are following that same route. But Ark Survival Evolved does that, except your buildings stay there so people can just come in and burn them down while you're not in there. I think there was another one as well. But there are other games that do that.
So it's not the first of its kind.
But they are almost exclusively for griefing. So,
I'm not sure. Interesting, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, they did say, you can play it single player, but that's not,
That's not what it's for.
Well, the interesting thing that I picked up on, and I don't know if they meant it to sound like this, but they said, you can play it solo and you can still have a story. And I'm just like, a story or the story?
Yeah.
That makes it sound like there isn't a story.
I imagine that in this kind of thing, you're creating your own stories, right?
Which, again, sends me down a sort of worrying thing is it going to be fetch quests and things? Like with Elder Scrolls Online, is it going to be that you actually don't get much of a fulfillment because the quests don't actually mean anything? So
interesting.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they do it. It could be great, it could be terrible, it could be somewhere in between. So
2 more games came out in Bethesda. A new Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yeah, I have no interest.
I think it will be good, like all the other ones.
Yeah.
I've kind of I'm not bothered about first-person shooters anymore, though.
I'm the same as you. Yeah.
Apart from Doom, which for me is almost... It's not a first-person shooter; it's a rhythm game, isn't it? It's not really.
They need to do something truly innovative for me to be interested in a first-person shooter.
Because I played a little bit. I got one of the Wolfenstein ones on PC, New Order or something.
Yeah, they're really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, but it was too hard as well. Like I found it really hard, and generally, like I was like, yeah, this is just Doom, but not as good.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about Wolves, like Matt Holland absolutely adores them.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed them, but like again, I've got no desire once they're finished to go back to them or anything. It's an entertainment thing.
Fun to shoot a Nazi.
Yeah. We're all fans of shooting Nazis. A bit more innovation would be nice in these games.
We'll quiz Scruff about that when he's back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the last game that we're going to talk about for Bethesda was Rage 2. Now, this was one they did actually show quite a lot of, because this was actually teased before E3. I was never really that into Rage, the first one. It seemed to me like it was more of a tech demo for some of the new NVIDIA graphic stuff at the time. But Rage 2 looks pretty cool. It looks a bit Borderlands-y, doesn't it?
It does. It's taken a bit of stuff from Borderlands, but what it hasn't taken is the joy that Borderlands brought. Yeah. So just to divert, like they did not mention Borderlands 3 at all in the entire conference. I'm a bit sad about that. But I had a problem with Rage because I find that the colour palette was so dull. It was like greys, beiges.
Well, they really changed that for Rage 2.
They have put a lot of colour in. I wonder whether the bringing back of the Rage franchise that no one actually asked for was due to the success of the last Mad Max film.
It could be because it's got a massive Mad Max vibe.
It does, but I just hope they bring a bit of lightheartedness to it because that's how Borderlands made it a little bit more entertaining.
Yes,
But I still, again, I don't think they'll necessarily have done enough to separate it from any of the other shooters that are around. So.
No, I'm not that excited about it. So Bethesda, all in all, what do we reckon? Decent. They could have done more with Elder Scrolls. There was one other game they mentioned, which was that there's a mobile game of Elder Scrolls. Yeah, Elder Scrolls Blades. I had it down in my other list here. I said a question mark. Proper RPG on mobile.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. It looks like a Skyrim on mobile, but at the same point, I'm not sure how deep it's going to be into the microtransactions.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so I was just wondering how deep it will be in general, but microtransactions is a good point.
I think it's free to play, so I worry about the cost model of that. But I'll probably give it a go if it's free to play and just to see how it is. It looked quite entertaining. It looked lovely. The graphics were very good. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm always up for a game that's going to grip me on mobile because I'm often looking for something to play that's more than just a throwaway game, but also just the method of control and everything means, can it work? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We have missed one as well.
Another one?
Yeah, there was one game that they did a trailer for that I thought was a joke and turned out it wasn't.
What was that?
So there's this on-running joke on Reddit about the number of things that they will release Skyrim on.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that's true. And, you were talking about Skyrim Alexa.
Yeah, so there was a lovely little trailer where they sort of joked about you using Alexa and you sort of, it's almost like Zork, this sort of text adventure. And you and me talked about it and you went, is this a real thing? I said, no, it comes out of a meme. It's a joke.
It actually sounds brilliant.
Yeah. They actually made it and released it.
What?
Yeah, no, it actually exists.
No way. Yeah.
Brilliant. And, So apparently you can download it and you can just play it.
Awesome.
I don't know how long it is or anything, but they sort of did a bait and switch because they made out like it was a joke.
Very cool.
And then people were searching for it and found it. So it's.
I'm definitely going to give that a go.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think Bethesda did a pretty good job. It's a shame that a lot of those games are a long way out.
Yeah, I'm pressing for it to be completely illegal for companies to announce games at E3 that are longer than like 18 months away. Like,
apparently,
stop it.
There may be some more stuff at QuakeCon for some of those. id Bethesda games. Yeah. So there you go. So that's Bethesda. We will have a little break and then we'll be back with Microsoft. So on to Microsoft, the Xbox convention. We were giving them some grief before they'd even walked out on stage, these guys, and saying it was going to be rubbish.
Yeah, we can't really deny that because it's all on the last podcast.
Yeah.
We said they were going to announce nothing. They had nothing. They were falling behind.
Yeah.
We owe them a massive apology.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, we said they were going to have nothing. They had more than everyone else combined.
Well, so they had a lot of games,
50.
but they had 11 exclusives. Right?
18, I think. I checked my notes.
Console exclusives.
18,
okay.
18 Xbox exclusives.
Okay.
I don't know whether they're timed exclusives or just
Yes.
exclusive.
They were lucky because they got some big games to release just because, or to announce because they were the first convention. Right?
Yeah, so Fallout 76, that was the first. They got Bethesda in. I can't remember who else they got in.
Well, they got in CD Projekt Red, obviously.
Oh, of course they did for Cyberpunk, so which we'll probably talk about later.
So I won't. It's on the list, but let's ignore it for now
Yeah.
because we'll talk about it at the end. There were 3 new Gears of War games, I think, which is great for Gears of War fans. I'm not bothered, to be honest.
No, me neither.
Except there was one that looked cool. Gears of War. Let me see if I can remember the name. I've got lots of notes here. Tactics. Yeah, Gears of War Tactics.
No, I thought it looked nice. Turn-based sort of.
It's XCOM, but with Gears of War, right?
Yeah, I'm up for that. Turn-based combat is my
Totally.
thing.
I thought that's like 4 of us if we were playing it. Sadly, it's going to be on PC and Xbox only, so that
I could do PC, so it's fine.
That's true. We could have a crack at that on PC. That is one nice thing now about the Xbox thing. If you don't have an Xbox but you do have a PC, these are all the same games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just whether your PC will run it or not.
Yes, that's true. So I think Gears Tactics could be pretty cool. One that I was actually, I'm not very excited about it because I knew it was going to happen anyway, but is Forza Horizon 4. I have played the last 2 Forza Horizons and I very much enjoy it, and mainly because it's one of those games that it's my listening to podcast game.
Yeah.
So I'll just put my podcast on and I'll just drive around the countryside, and it's quite a nice mindless thing, and it looks absolutely beautiful. This version of the game, based in the UK, so they have, I think it's the Peak District and Lake District, and apparently there's an Edinburgh section as well,
lovely.
which is pretty cool. So it looks really, 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 really good.
Okay, I have no interest in it, and I've written one word next to my notes, which is dull. So yeah.
Well, if you don't like driving games, then it's not going to.
No, indeed, and I don't.
It's not going to work. But it's they really perfected that kind of open world thing with Forza Horizon already, and you wonder what they can do each time, but they have incrementally just improved things and made it a little bit more satisfying. And the thing I like about it is that unlike Forza itself or GT or any of those games, you're not really bound to this really, really grindy progression system that those games require of you. You can literally jump in, you get given good cars from the very start, and you just drive around. And that's it. And it has one mechanic which I really like, because there are millions of races and other events that you have to go to a location for and trigger. Yeah. And you seamlessly move between these events, which is quite nice. But if you're just driving around, there are skill trains that build up. If you remember Burnout had this. So you can just be like, not in a race or not in a mission or anything, and you're just driving around the roads and you do a really good overtake on a motorway, and it'll go bit-a-bit-a-bit, and you'll build up a skill train, and then you'll do a little jump and it'll be like bit-a-bit-a-bit, and then you'll build up, and so it actually becomes like a mini game that you task yourself with, like how fast can I go in the wrong way down this motorway, or how many jumps can I do before it, and that's quite nice. And all of that ties to your progression. So if you do have like a really good like off-road race and you trash a load of fences and you get loads of points for doing that, and then you manage to finish that without crashing, you'll get a bunch of XP in that level.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's little things like that I really like in it. So I would definitely be getting that on PC.
Nice.
And just driving around while I'm listening to my pods.
Oh, cool.
So what else have you got for Microsoft?
There was quite a lot. So one of their exclusives was the second Ori and the Blind Forest, which I enjoyed the first one.
Will of the Wisps.
Yeah, but again, it's going to be an exclusive. I'm not going to buy an Xbox just to play that.
That might be on PC though.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I might play it. The first one was lovely. Right, I've got one written here. It says Ugly Samurai Dark Souls. So the guys who did Dark Souls, I think, is it From Software?
From Software. It's called Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
And I saw it. I did not know it was from the Dark Souls, and I literally wrote down Ugly Samurai's Dark Souls. It does not look pretty.
It does look very ugly.
And the gameplay looks exactly like Dark Souls. It's not for me. There will be a certain element of the community who love that.
Well, there was no other like Dark Souls type game. Was
no,
there?
not at all.
Not from.
Yeah, and that didn't interest me at all.
One thing associated to that though, because we'll come on to Ghost of Tsushima later, but will samurai or like Japanese like kind of period stuff, is that the big thing? Because there's quite a few games that look like they're doing.
I don't believe it's the big thing. The big thing, and this really, really narked me as I went through the E3 conference, was post-apocalyptic shooters.
Oh, still.
It really is. Like, I'm going to give you a list of games that I noted. So Fallout 76 is obviously one. Metro Exodus, which looked like a poor man's Fallout. Gears of War, obviously. Last of Us 2. Rage 2. Division 2. Dying Light 2. Days Gone. It's just like, honestly, all of these games, like...
We've had enough, haven't we?
Well, the worst thing about post-apocalyptic is it's all the same. It's all like dilapidated buildings. It's all grey and browns and like, you know, just unpleasant environments. Even some of those I'm looking forward to playing, I'm just like, oh, come on, just pick a different theme. So I'm quite nice that there's a couple of samurai games because I'm at least like, well, bearing in mind we will talk about it later, but Ghost of Tsushima looks amazing.
Yes.
So like beautiful and like just that whole, it's so nice to see something in a different environment.
I saw somebody post a an image series on Twitter, and it was showing like all the different game manufacturers, and it's like Bethesda, and it's all brown and grey, and Ubisoft's all brown and grey, and everybody, it goes to all of them, and at the bottom it just had Nintendo, like a picture of Splatoon.
Neon pink.
And that's what Nintendo does so well, because they want to, it's colourful and exciting and fun, and we do need to get away from this post-apocalyptic nonsense.
It just doesn't need to be done. It's like you can do those games in a different environment. It's like, it's lazy games manufacturing. It really, really is. And most of those games don't look that exciting. And if they did it in a separate universe or a different thing, it would potentially grab you in. So
I think they're using a lot of assets.
I agree.
So a game that does look bright and interesting and fun, but is still going to be shit. Crackdown 3.
Oh God! Like,
how long have we been hearing about this bloody game?
What, 6-7 years?
Look,
15 years.
Crackdown was great when it first came out many years ago, and it was a bit of fun. But come on now. We've had enough.
So I've never played a Crackdown game.
Yeah.
But I hear people talk about it. You know, it's that running joke. Oh, do you think we'll get Crackdown 3 and stuff like that?
Yeah.
The trailer came on and it looked like the worst game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it didn't look great.
It looked like, because they announced it so long ago, that they made the game that long ago and only just releasing it.
Well, they did. They put so much effort onto this peer-to-peer destruction engine, right? That would use power from servers elsewhere or other people's Xboxes, whatever, to do this incredible city destruction. And it looked fucking awesome. Like, if it worked, it'd be great. But clearly that hasn't worked, because it wasn't really included in the trailer. No. So now you're back to basically just a bog standard sequel to Crackdown 2.
But it's a game that looks like it should have come out 6 years ago. And it looked awful. Yeah. So I think probably the worst game I saw at the conference by a mile.
They really needed to hit... Like, there was a sweet spot for timing for Crackdown, because Crackdown 1 had a really strong cult following.
Okay.
Crackdown 2 was more of the same. And it was really because it was co-op. Right? So you just jump in, jump out with your mates. And a lot of the fun that we had with it was not fighting at all. It was just jumping around the world collecting these orbs.
Okay.
And so it was really like a Pokemon type of thing, basically. You would just like run around. And it had a very satisfying mechanic in that as you collected these orbs, depending on their colour, it would increase your character's ability. Mm-hmm. So like green was speed and blue was power or whatever. And so as you collected them, you got more powerful. And by the end, you're leaping over skyscrapers and stuff with your hugely powerful guy. And it was really cool. It was like a superhero simulator, really. It was very cool. But it was of a very specific time. And when they announced the Crackdown 3 trailer, you were like, shit, I've just been playing Crackdown 2. If I could have Crackdown 3 with all this building destruction, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And then nothing for 5 years. Yeah. And so now that time is very much gone.
I
so I don't know what they're going to do, but that game is going to be a fucking failure.
It looks like a disaster already. It looked like they designed it as a vehicle for Terry Crews as well. And
I know.
It just felt like they were just trying to get on because everyone loves Terry Crews, and they go, oh, well, let's include Terry Crews. And it's like, you've lost all my goodwill because that game looks absolutely awful.
So. It's not going to be good.
No.
What else do we have on Microsoft?
Well, there was obviously the Halo game, whatever it was
not
called.
bothered. Infinite.
Well, it had dinosaurs in the trailer, which instantly makes me more interested.
I just don't care about Halo, you know?
I genuinely don't either, but...
I don't get it. And you know, people talk about like Halo, and they get all excited about the graphics stuff. So it's always looked shit, as far as I've been concerned.
Well, it looks like a futuristic post-apocalyptic shooter. So
I don't know. There's something about it, and there's something about the enemies as well. Those little like crab fellas.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is this? Like,
I don't enjoy
this game?
it, but if it's got dinosaurs in it, might be more like Turok, which I'd like. So that's a game that should be remade. So, but I did find out that Bungie don't make Halo games anymore.
Oh, okay.
So at least it's not going to go down the Destiny 2 route.
Maybe. Well, that's their thing now, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I think they abandoned it, and as soon as they got the whiff of cash. So.
Yes. What else do we have? Metro, a new Metro game.
God. Like I just talked about, I looked at the trailer, and it's like I was so bored because it doesn't offer anything new. It's all it is a post-apocalyptic shooter. It's Get a different idea, gents, honestly.
Yeah, quite. But what was big news from Microsoft was that they announced the purchase of 5 studios.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I mean, most of them are studios they've already been working on. Like one of them, I think, was the guys that make Forza, for example. They brought them in. But the big one was Ninja Theory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are the guys that made Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, which was a PS4 exclusive.
Indeed. So it seems like they've got a lot of exclusives by just buying other companies, which I don't have a problem with them doing. That's business. Like, fine.
To be honest, I think a lot of those studios I kind of thought they already owned.
Yeah, and it might even be that those studios were more than willing to move because perhaps Sony aren't as easy to work with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know the background. So, but yeah, like I was surprised that Ninja Theory went because, like you said, that Senua's Sacrifice was quite a big PS4 exclusive.
Yeah,
and So, and I'm guessing, would they be allowed to do that on Xbox now that they've bought the
quite
thing?
possibly.
So, yeah, it's difficult to know what like contracts they signed and stuff.
So I think the thing that made Microsoft conference good was really there was like a critical mass. All of these games built up, didn't they? Yeah. So after a while, you're like, shit, that's a lot of games.
It was, but also I will say this for Microsoft, they put on a very professional looking show.
Yeah.
They got a lot of the. There are some who weren't as professional, and we will talk about those in a bit. But certainly they, it was spotless in terms of and seamless in terms of the way they went through the games, the way that they announced it, the size of the stage, all that sort of stuff. So fair play to them. They did a good job of looking very like a very, very good company who are very healthy. So
yeah, they pulled it out of the bag.
They certainly did.
The boys from Microsoft. So then their big competitors, then PlayStation.
So
there was some good stuff in PlayStation.
There was, but it felt a little underwhelming compared to the Microsoft one.
I think the thing with the PlayStation one was that there were there's 4 titles here that I think are really big. Like them or not, there's 4 titles here that are really, really big. Yeah. So Last of Us 2, we won't talk about it because we already talked about it. But what I would say just about that quickly was they did include a gameplay trailer. It did look amazing if you're into that kind of thing. But for me personally, too much stealth, too scary. Yeah, maybe not what I'm after.
I would say about it is that it looks like if you loved the first one, you will love this one.
Yes.
It looks like it's going to have a great story, and it looks like it's going to have the same gameplay. So it's not for me.
Well, I don't know, actually, because there was no sign of the clickers, which were the most annoying thing in the previous one. But the reliance on stealth, yes. What did look really cool is the way in which Ellie was able to interact with her environment very seamlessly. Yeah. If they bring that in the game, like she kills a guy and there's a arrow on the floor, and as she runs past, she seamlessly picks up the arrow and pops it. Like stuff like that is pretty cool if you're able to like really interact very quickly with stuff. But it looks quite intense.
Yeah, I don't think it's for me, but I think it will be for the people who enjoyed it.
Yeah, so. And I think it'll be a technical success. It looks like an amazing technical feat. So that was good. Death Stranding. So we got to see Norman Reedus walking a lot.
He was like, there were a lot of jokes saying that he was a postman from the future or a post-apocalyptic postman.
It was weird. There were just all these jump cuts, but every jump cut was him walking in a different location.
Or pulling a sleigh full of stuff.
Yeah, here's him walking with one box on his back. Here's him walking with like what looks like a body strapped onto his back.
Yeah.
He's him walking with 20 parcels on his back.
I still have no idea what that game is, but I worry that it's just a stealth adventure game.
And like the mocap didn't look very good, like the way he was moving. It all just looked a bit shit.
Yeah, I don't think they should have released anything about it till the game's out. I think it was interesting when you knew very little about it. The more you know about it, the less interesting it gets.
The cutscene bits looked good.
Yeah.
Like the cutscene bits looked good and interesting. And there's obviously, like, the story behind it is quite cool, I guess. Like, you don't know what's going on, but there's these weird invisible monsters. It looks pretty good. But
is there a game there? That's my question.
yeah, exactly.
So,
If all you're doing is walking between locations, and Jesus, it would have been, they didn't really show any combat of any kind.
no.
They didn't really show any story elements, really. They had one very brief cutscene, but I just don't know.
I don't know either. I don't think we're going to be able to judge it till it's out. And
also, although I shouldn't say this because, video game people are supposed to love fucking Metal Gear, I don't really like Metal Gear.
I liked the first one and a bit of the second one. That's it.
I just don't. It's because I don't like stealth games,
Yeah,
I think that's
I
it.
get that.
And I like Hitman, but Hitman for me is not that traditional stealth game.
No, not at all.
You're hiding in plain sight in Hitman. That makes a big difference to me. So Death Stranding, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah. I'm not interested currently, but we'll see how it goes.
Two more big ones.
Right.
And we can talk about these in detail now or later if you want.
Okay.
Spider-Man.
Let's talk about it now.
Go on, let's get it out. Spider-Man. This looks amazing.
The real surprise of that. So I talked about the fact that Crackdown 3, looked like the worst game of it.
Yes, yeah.
I was surprised by the feelings I got when I was watching the Spider-Man one.
Oh, I was excited. Your spidey senses started tingling.
And I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I don't find that character that interesting. And I know that Matt Holland, if he was here, would be giving me a slap and just saying, what's your problem, man? Batman's better. But that game just looks brilliant.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. It looks fun.
They showed real gameplay, like real actual gameplay, which is a great start.
And the worry I had when I watched it is that all it's going to be? Because it looked a bit like Infamous. Infamous had, you could jump around, and that's really fun for like 10 minutes, but then it gets boring really quickly. But from what I've seen since, there's a lot of variation in that gameplay.
Yes.
And so I'm actually very, very excited for that game.
The combat looked great. Like the different combination of moves, the way you could take down the baddies in all kinds of different ways, and then seamlessly move between the web swinging and the combat.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's the key word there, seamless. It just like the jumps between that, the swinging then into the combat, then the fact that you can interact the combat with the environment. It just looked fantastic.
And if you look at games like Mirror's Edge and Dying Light, where they're trying to do like parkour integrated with combat, it looks like Spider-Man's nailed it.
Yeah,
it looks like they've totally nailed it.
I was surprised by that game completely because it wasn't really on my radar very much before E3, and now it is one of the games that I'm hoping for the most.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I didn't even know there was going to be a new Spider-Man game. And then when we saw this because first we saw a CGI trailer, right?
Yeah.
Which looked okay, and it looked like maybe some of it was gameplay.
Maybe.
But it wasn't really clear.
Yeah.
But then I think it was a separate part of the conference, wasn't it? And they showed actual gameplay with like the full HUD, so you knew it was the real game. Like it looked like it was straight off a console pretty much. And it looked fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it looked so much fun. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Excited for that now.
Yeah,
so that will be one I'll definitely get. I don't know if there's going to be a multiplayer element.
I doubt it. I don't
Probably not.
I don't know how that would work. So
yeah.
But I'm fine with it. It just looks wonderful.
Yeah, I think that game really might have nailed the Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
And we might have a really good superhero game that isn't a Batman game.
Yes, indeed.
So, this next game, I knew nothing about. I didn't even know it existed until I saw the trailer. And then I saw the trailer, and it became now my most hyped game from E3.
Okay, I'm going to guess that this is the game that I knew a little bit about. I was thoroughly underwhelmed by, and then it became one of the games that I desperately wanted to play the most. Much like Spider-Man, except with Spider-Man I didn't even know existed. So
this is Sucker Punch Studios' Ghosts of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. This has to be, apart from maybe Cyberpunk, this has to be the number one trailer. Well, it wasn't even trailer, it was fucking gameplay
footage.
The number one piece of gameplay footage from E3, for me. It looks so good, this game. My word. So you open up and you just see the back of this samurai guy. It's clearly a third-person game. The way that you see some of the credits come up on the screen makes you think, okay, this is maybe like a level or a section of a level or something. And the guy just walks up a hill. There's a few NPCs and stuff. Then he crests over the hill, and you see this amazing vista of the Japanese countryside set during the Mongol invasion. And it's like, okay, I'm going to be a samurai guy fighting off these Mongols as they're invading my country. And then he rides his horse through the field. Looks fucking absolutely amazing.
That field part, it reminds me of, you know, the bit where in Gladiator and he's in the field of wheat. It reminded me of that because the wind's going through it. It just looks stunning.
Some of the best effects I've seen on any game. Absolutely amazing. And the one thing that was another big theme for me from E3 was weather effects. There was loads of this stuff. So obviously there's some tech out there that these game devs are using. But oh my God, the sky had that brilliant mixture. It was obviously like there was a weather front coming in, so it was dark on one side, light on another. You had like little rain effects and wind. Fucking hell. Incredible.
The bit that really got me is there's a bit where he's having a battle in the forest and the leaves are falling down and blowing around, and it looks like it's out of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's very rare that a game's just, you know, their sort of graphics and the whole presentation draws me in without me knowing exactly how the gameplay works. And this has done it. Like, it is so beautiful that even if the gameplay turns out to be a bit rubbish, I'll probably end up buying it.
Well, that's where Sucker Punch, I think, did an absolutely beautiful job with this gameplay reveal, because once you had that opening scene, you were like, fuck, this looks amazing. It then seamlessly moves through into a section of gameplay. And you're like, fuck, this swordplay looks cool too. He faces up against 3 Mongol enemies. One of them charges at him, and obviously he's got like an initial move where he brings his katana out of his scabbard and just nails the guy with a single shot. Oh my word, it looks so satisfying.
I heard them talk about the combat, because originally they said they made it so it was like historically accurate, where it'd be like one hit would kill you. And they realised that actually they needed to put a bit of fun into it, because that would have been Dark Souls level of fun.
But it looks like there's enough in there to make it interesting, the combat system. You could see he was changing pose depending on the enemy that he was facing, and he was able to counter and strike.
Indeed.
Like,
it looks good.
Really
My only thing, and this is not a criticism of the game because it's probably what they have to do, but if you go back and watch that gameplay again, watch all the enemies. So, like, he's having a battle with 2 of them, and one of them will wait till he's finished with the other one. And then there's 3 down the road who've just been watching it, and they only run up. It's like, no, all of those 5 people are just going to launch on this guy.
It's classic Bruce Lee movie baddies.
But
They'll just wait for their turn.
I'm okay with that, because all 5 of those coming at you at once would not have been fun. So I get why they've done it, but it did just pull me out of the moment a little bit, where going, hang on, why is that guy just watching you battle? Like, I'll tell you what, I'll wait till you've killed my friend before.
Enemy AI is always going to be like that.
But it looks stunning, absolutely stunning.
And so there's a small section after that with a little bit of stealth, but it doesn't look too bad. The guy's like just creeping in a building, and then he drops down and does some stealth kills. And it had a chain stealth kill thing, which I really love, like a bit Dishonored style, so that was very cool. And then the scene culminates with him having a one-on-one battle in one of the most amazing settings.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There's a maple tree with the leaves falling off, the sun setting behind, the leaves blowing, and then the enemies come in. You can hear them in the distance, and they start firing fire arrows, and so the fire is building up. I mean, the amount of stuff going on in that scene, I assume that's running on some incredibly high-end system.
You would imagine, yeah.
But wow,
it looked phenomenal, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so for me, that came out of absolutely nowhere, blew me away. So that was enough. Like at the PlayStation conference, I was like, "Fuck, those 4 games alone!" Like, pretty impressive, right? Pretty impressive to have on the roster, plus a bunch of other stuff as well. There was a Resi 2 remake. Interesting for Resi people.
I don't care. I've played Resident Evil 2. It was okay.
What about this? What was he called? Trover Saves Universe. Did you see this one?
I did, yeah.
That looks interesting. It's by the guys that did Rick and Morty. So I think that seems quite cool.
It was just something that passed me by. I didn't really feel anything from it, but
cool little idea. If they do a little indie game that's funny, I'll be up for that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. What else from Sony?
That was it. I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of the things that got me excited were Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man. Like, I couldn't get past those two games. Like it. In fact, most of the ones after the Sony conference like paled in comparison, so they may have got a little bit of a pasting to do with that. But
So I think Sony nailed it for us, really, especially with those two games.
they did, although, like I said, in terms of quantity, they were probably lacking a little bit, and maybe in terms of the presentation style, like it wasn't quite as professional as
quality of games.
In terms of it, like those two games alone, like outpaced everything from Xbox.
Exciting time.
Yeah.
So while we're loving on those two, we'll take a little break, and then we'll be back with a little bit of Ubi action. Ubisoft, Matt.
Ubisoft was a bit of a shambles.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
they seem like a nice bunch of lads, Ubisoft, but it's also just a bit of a mess.
It was a bit of a shambles. I mean, in terms of it, there were some quite nice things, like they did the Beyond Good and Evil 2, and they kept having a live microphone. Like there was a hot microphone, and when they came off, they were like, "Yes, we nailed it, we nailed it." But then there was a little awkward bit about 20 minutes later where some guy got his lines wrong and stuff like that, and they came off and you could hear one of the runners just saying, I'm so sorry, and he was like, they do this to me every year, it's so unfair. And that was a bit less sweet. So but those mics were hot for the entirety of that thing. No one at any point realised that
Run the soundboard.
Yeah, indeed.
Unbelievable. So that was pretty funny. But okay, so we'll start with Beyond Good and Evil 2. Again, more CGI trailer. Give us the gameplay. We had that gameplay reveal, like the developer reveal, like 2 years ago. It looked great.
But again, I don't think that's even in the game, that developer reveal. That's just a sort of in progress sort of thing. Like, I've got no idea how that game works because they've already said it's not going to be the same as the first one. And
sure.
In theory, if you can fly off planet, like, very much like
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, that'll be great. But I need to know what I'm investing in.
Yeah. I really think after the CGI trailer, which everybody was very excited about, then you had that reveal of the engine. Show us the game, because that to me that seemed like a progression.
Indeed.
Whereas now we just get another CGI trailer. Nobody knows what it is, and I'm not that bothered.
It felt like they were selling us nothing. It felt a bit snake oil at times, and there were a few games that felt like that, where it's just like, show us your game or don't present it at all. So disappointing I was for that, because I thought, because we'd already seen that trailer as well, they didn't add anything new into it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The new Assassin's Creed game, first of all, too soon for a new Assassin's Creed game.
Like this is a year on from the other one.
I mean, Jesus Christ, give us a minute.
Yeah.
I just spent 50 quid on the last one, and it was good. It was the best one for a long time.
Yes.
Fair play. But we don't need another one next year.
It looked remarkably similar.
It looked fucking well similar.
Yeah.
Like, it really looked very much like Origins. I mean, yes, Origins was Egypt, ancient Egypt. This is ancient Greece. I think, again, asset flips quite a lot there. And they're making use of it while they're hot. Let's use those assets while we spent so long making them. And they did look beautiful, those assets, to be fair. But, I really get the feeling that they're like, shit, we can reuse a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
They made a big deal about the fact that you could play as a woman.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be something you make a big deal out. That should be
just
standard.
be a choice, right? It should just be a standard.
Also, they had this bit where they were fighting on a beach and everyone's going, oh, look how great this combat was. Because it was supposed to be like Spartans versus the Greeks. And they're just fighting on the beach. But to me, the way that they'd done the battle, it was so sparsely populated that they all looked like they were having a beach party. It did not look like a battle. And again, it was doing that thing where it's like one person would attack you while the others waited their turn. And it just felt like everyone was queuing up at the bar at a beach party. So I wasn't too impressed with it. In terms of, I'm still coming around to, do I want to play, Origins?
Yeah.
And I'm already there going, well, do I just wait till this one comes out? And then I'm just thinking, I have no interest in playing. Now that there's two, I'm just like, well, I might not even play either of them because.
No, I think, I like I said before on the pod, I really enjoyed Origins for the depth and completeness of the world that they created, but not for the combat and not for the story, because it's still not great. But for the world itself, lovely job, Ubisoft. But it just seems too soon. I put a lot of hours into that, and I went straight through it as well because I didn't want to do all the side quests. So I went straight through it, and it still probably took me 25 hours, 30 hours or something. I'm not ready for that again for another one to drop 60 quid on. So I think it's a bit soon. If they gave it 2 years between each Assassin's Creed, I think they'd get a lot more interest.
Yeah, there's a happy medium between what they're doing and what Bethesda are doing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Like, give us 2 to 3 years. Because
find a nice.
The last thing you want to do is buy this game, play it for 9-10 months, and then 2 months later, the next one comes out that's very similar. It's going to bore you. It's going to kill off your fan base. It feels a bit like a cash move rather than but it doesn't look like a bad game. If you haven't played Origins, you might
probably
give
it a go.
Yeah.
There are apparently choices to be made in that one, so that's quite good. One extra thing.
But again, is that going to affect the world? We don't know. I don't know.
Let's get a wriggle on through some of these games.
Okay.
One word for me on Trials Rising.
Okay.
One word.
Don't care. I know that's two.
You can have two.
Yeah, thank you.
I quite like the Trials games. I'll give it a go. Skull and Bones.
The biggest disappointment for me of the entire conference. I was excited for this because obviously we couldn't get what was the other pirate game that came out? Sea of Thieves.
Although that turned out to be a bit of a white elephant.
They did actually announce in the Microsoft conference there was going to be more content for it, and everyone should have released it when it came out. No one's interested now.
You mean some content?
Yeah, indeed. But this looked like the game that we wanted, where it was like, you're all on pirate ships and you do it. And I imagined you'd all be on the same pirate ship. You're not. You'd all each have your own pirate ship. But you can go and it looks like the ship parts of Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Okay.
And quite, I thought this might be quite good. And then I watched the gameplay footage, and it was like you took down a little merchant, and you were like, oh, brilliant, we'll take that loot.
Yeah.
And then a big sort of Portuguese Navy ship came out and started shooting you, and you had no chance of doing it.
Right.
And then you send out a signal, and other players come in and help you. And I was like, this is brilliant. This will be really good. And then they went, and then the real kicker. So once you've looted this ship, all the other players who've helped you can fight you and sink you and take your loot. It's basically the Dark Zone from the Division on ships.
Sucks that.
Yes, indeed. So I was really, really disappointed.
Yeah, that's no good for me.
Because they did the opposite of what Bethesda did, which Bethesda acknowledged griefing, talked about how they're trying to get rid of it in PvP.
Yes.
They were almost going, oh, look, and you can piss people off by taking their loot that they... And I was just like, I have no interest in this now. Absolutely none, because it will just be Grief City.
Well, it's a great segue, because the other big game from that was Division 2.
Yes.
Are we going to be back in New York, or is it Boston this time? I think it's Boston or Washington.
It's New York. It's Washington.
Washington DC.
Yeah. I will probably buy it.
I think we should give it a go.
Mainly because even though the first one wasn't perfect, I had a great time playing it with you guys. I'm less excited for it than I was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Having seen it.
It looks exactly like the Division. There is nothing new that I could tell.
No, it doesn't even look nicer.
No, it really looks the same. Like, I think if they can improve the end game, make the raids more interesting, make the raids more possible, I think be a great start.
Andy mentioned that he hoped, he didn't care whether the gameplay was different.
Yeah.
What he wanted was better sort of quality of life within the sort of usability, but also more story, more content and stuff. So.
You remember us trying to do those raids?
Yeah.
Oh my
impossible.
God.
Absolutely impossible.
Hours and hours just putting bullets into play. It's so boring. So yeah, hopefully they'll tighten that up.
So I'll undoubtedly buy it unless the reviews are all like 10 out of 100 or something. But but I'm less interested just simply because of, like I talked about, this post-apocalyptic shooter needs to mix it up, or at least make it like give yourself something that's different.
Yeah, Division 2 just needs to have a sense of humour. I mean, it really won't take much. If you could just like pick up a funny hat or wear a unicorn, like horn.
Indeed.
That's all I fucking want. Like, it's not much to ask for, and that would just make it so much more fun.
I would be amazed if they don't have dances in it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Dancing modes.
Oh Jesus! Got excited there about dancing modes. We made a lot of fun just out of all wearing the same coloured jacket
and bobble hats.
So if they could fucking sort that out with some more interesting content, then fine. Any more for Ubisoft?
No, they did like sideswipe me a little bit because I was like I said, I'd not been sleeping well, and I'm there in the middle of the night watching this Ubisoft conference.
Yeah.
And I look up and I see Star Fox.
Oh yeah.
And I was so excited. I thought there's a new Star Fox game coming out. I'm so excited. And then it turns out that he was a character on the Switch version of something called Starling, which looked like a poor man's No Man's Sky.
Don't tease me, Ubisoft.
Yeah. So basically, just make another Star Fox game. Don't make a crap version of No Man's Sky.
Oh, talking of which,
Star Fox
Ian Higton, streamer,
Yes.
Platform 32. He's currently playing through Star Fox, and he's got properly addicted to it. He played for like 9 hours the other night.
I love it. I would happily
Star
buy
Fox
another.
Adventures.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Right, so that's enough for Ubisoft. Very, very, very quickly, mainly because there's shit all to say, Electronic Arts.
Yeah. They're
Rubbish.
Yeah, like
Absolute
we
garbage.
talked about the fact that their main focus was Command and Conquer Rivals.
Fucking rubbish.
They've bought it.
So Battlefield 5, whatever.
Yeah.
And the only other one that maybe is interesting was Anthem.
Yes, indeed.
So, but my problem with Anthem is it kind of looks like it's EA's Destiny.
yeah,
So
it's difficult to say now how it'll work or whether it will work.
let's put a pin in Anthem.
Indeed.
And we'll see what happens with it. So finally, Nintendo. So we had a lot of that post-apocalyptic bullshit. There's a lot of very serious games, all that stuff. And we're thinking, hey, Nintendo,
Yeah.
show us some cool shit. Some
And they
fun,
showed us
exciting shit.
A post-apocalyptic shooter. no, they didn't.
But they didn't really show us much, did they?
No, it was
Almost nothing.
It was all Smash Brothers, wasn't it? Almost
I
entirely.
just don't really care about Smash
I
Brothers.
don't either. I don't understand the obsession with it.
I don't get it. Like, they made such a huge deal out of Smash Brothers, and Reggie fucking loves it, but I just don't. I've never been a big fan of beat 'em ups generally,
No, me neither.
or is that what you call them? Beat 'em ups?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
and Tekken and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Never really been a big fan of that, and so Smash Brothers just like. I'm not really bothered.
No.
And they also like Mario Tennis, which I think is coming out soon.
It's already out.
It looks all right, and the new Pokemon games,
Yeah. So the
proper Pokemon games, supposedly.
Yeah, well, the Pokemon games are interesting because it looks like a console version of, I think it was Sun or Moon or one of the original
Yes.
ones. And I've been dying to play a Pokemon game on like home console for years. I just wish it was a brand new one, really.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. But the thing about those original, like Sun and Moon, all those ones, you had to battle to win your Pokemon, and in this you don't. You just throw the ball.
Well, yeah.
So you get this it's like a little hardware.
Are you sure it's just
thingy.
throwing the ball?
Yeah.
So you don't even battle them down to the point where you throw them?
No, I
Oh.
think it's like Pokemon Go, where you literally find them and you
Right.
just throw the ball. So this ball is like a little hardware peripheral that you get, and you kind of shake it or make the action of throwing, and you're not actually supposed to throw the ball, I don't think. And then you can catch them just like you can in Pokemon Go, but that kind of takes away. You can battle them afterwards, but I think it's the Pokemon Go thing where you like battle them to take control of locations and stuff
I
like
did
that.
see the controller. It felt like a gimmick that they were just trying to get money out of people. I don't think it looks particularly exciting. I was underwhelmed by Nintendo, to be honest, because I love Pokemon games, but I just want a proper Pokemon game on a console.
Yeah.
And I have no interest in Smash Brothers. The thing that people get really excited about is the characters in Smash Brothers. And it's just like, I don't care. I really don't.
No, like who's? I don't get.
There's big uproar because Waluigi is not in it, and I'm just like, I don't
no.
care. I really, really do not care.
Right, so that is the conferences wrapped up, I think, pretty much. Was there anything else missing from
I watched
Nintendo or anything?
not from Nintendo, but there were two other conferences. So one thing I watched the Fortnite Pro-Am competition.
Oh, yes.
Till 3 a.m.
Oh, my God.
And it was brilliant. It was really, really good.
Were there celebrity amateurs?
There were, but I get the feeling that these celebrities were celebrities in America who most of them I hadn't heard of. There were a few wrestlers from WWE.
Okay.
There were ice hockey players. There were American football players.
Gotcha, okay.
They did have the guy out of Community. I can't remember what his name is.
Not Tom Glover.
No, the main guy. Joel, is it Joel?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't even remember what his name is, but this shows how the level of things. I thought they had the guy who played Napoleon Dynamite as well, but I may have been wrong.
Okay.
So they had a few people like that, but they had all the big streamers, like so Ninja was there, Myth was there. And it was really good, like the way they'd done it. They had 3 rounds, 2 of which were practice rounds, and then the final one. Ninja was terrible in the first 2 and then won it. Nice. It was really, really good. So I was really impressed with that. They actually had it in a stadium. So they had them all out on the thing. And they had people. There wasn't a huge amount of people there, but it was.
That's good.
The other thing, I watched a bit of the PC Gamer one. So this is one of the smaller ones. They had some technological issues, same as Ubisoft, but it had a lot of heart to it. They had Day 9 doing the presenting. I've got a huge man crush on him, but he was very, very good in terms of he dealt with the technological problems far better than Ubisoft did.
Yeah.
But there was one game in there that I was really, really impressed by, and that was 2 Point Hospital. So this is a spiritual successor to Theme Hospital.
Awesome.
Done by 2 of the same designers.
Very cool.
It just looks lovely. It really does. It looks like everything you want a Theme Hospital style game to be.
Yes,
It's got ridiculous like illnesses, ridiculous ways of curing those illnesses.
Yeah.
You've got janitors, you've got infestations, all that sort of stuff.
That does seem very cool.
So one of the illnesses was lightheadedness, and they all come in and they've got light bulbs for heads. And the treatment is they unscrew their heads and replace them with heads. And it's that sort of stuff. It just looks really nice. If you get a chance, have a look at the gameplay footage because it just looks really, really nice. And yeah, it doesn't take itself seriously. So if your patients die, they turn to ghosts, and your janitor will come around with a little dust devil and hoover them up and stuff. It just looks like a wonderful game. So I'm impressed with that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's just round it up because we've already gone long. So it's a bumper pod.
Oh, bumper.
There's just a few other games that I think are honourable mentions. So
okay.
This is me. I've got many notes, as you can hear, probably on the mic. We talked about it already. Hitman 2.
Oh, I'm excited.
I think we're all excited about that. Yes, very good.
If you can hit someone with a fish, I'm in.
Exactly. So Hitman 2 is a yes from us. Overcooked 2, I'm just mentioning mainly because finally multiplayer online.
Thank God. So, exactly what it needed.
So that is what that needs. We also had a sort of tease for a potential new Star Wars RPG, Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes, indeed.
That could be very cool, but we don't know anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That could be very good.
We haven't mentioned Cyberpunk 2077.
Fuck, we haven't even mentioned it. But there's not much to mention, really. No. We saw the trailer. The trailer looked amazing. They said it was in engine, but not maybe in game. I think I think it's going to have everything we want. And the most exciting thing that came out of that, which I'm sure pleased you very much, was that it's going to be a first-person game.
Yes, I've made my point around The Witcher versus Skyrim, and the fact that I think it's more like, you feel more like that character if it's first person. People have lost their minds over the fact that Cyberpunk is first person. So there are a lot of people who are claiming they will not buy it because they wanted The Witcher 3 science fiction edition.
Right.
I'm the complete opposite. I think I have every faith in that company.
Yeah.
If you want a third-person game, RPG game, play Witcher 3.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's there. You've got it. And also it works now if you buy the Game of the Year edition.
The fact that the company have come out and said it's an RPG first and like with first-person shooting mechanics makes me a lot more confident.
Me too.
If it was just a first-person shooter, at least it wouldn't be a post-apocalyptic one. But
no, I think it's going to be good. And I think based on some of the ideas that you've got, there's going to be shooting, but there's also going to be melee as well, because it looks like you can maybe augment yourself to have some kind of
I'm
melee
100% behind this.
That's fucking exciting.
If they can make me feel like a Blade Runner, I'm going to be all over this.
Yes.
So.
And it's one of the few development houses that really still feels like it gives a shit about gamers.
Absolutely.
CD Projekt Red, they know exactly their audience. They are the alternative bad boy studio out there. They're still the ones that are trying to do things for the players rather than for their shareholders.
It's the only game from that conference that I went into excited about, and I'm still massively excited about. With obviously, Elder Scrolls, I'm not going to get that in the next, but this did not disappoint in terms of all they showed was a CGI trailer.
Yeah,
and I know that people have played gameplay, but there was
I've heard that. Yes,
but they said it was very, very good. So I'm pleased about that. But to be honest, all the other ones I was excited about, like Fallout 76, Division 2, Skull and Bones, have all fallen.
Yeah.
But then they were replaced by things like Spider-Man and Ghost of Sushi. Right, I cannot say Ghost of
Tsushima. Tsushima.
I have to say it very slowly, otherwise it comes out as Goats of Shoeshine or something. So I'm going to call it GOT.
Nice.
Which also stands for Game of Thrones, so that's going to be confusing.
It still counts, though. Yeah, so there we go. So that is the Idiot Gamer wrap-up of E3. Fucking hell.
There was a lot of it.
Whew. All those games. Well, I think, I think that is a lot to chew on.
Yes.
For a while. And it's pretty, to be honest, I have paid more attention to this E3 than I have ever before.
Yes.
And I've actually got pretty hyped about a lot of these games.
Yeah,
it's very
absolutely.
cool.
I want them all now.
Yeah, it's refreshed my enthusiasm in the industry a little bit because there is some great stuff out there. There's a lot of shit still, but there's some great stuff out there.
But there always is a load of shit,
So I think all in all, we're pretty pleased with that.
Yep.
And we're going to get hyped up for those games. And then we're going to be back playing probably a bit of Fortnite this week.
Yeah, I reckon so.
And maybe something else. Oh, I haven't even done my Overwatch competitive placements. Andy said he's not going to do them.
Really?
Is
He's
out?
He's out. Well, I might be out as well.
Oh my god!
Come on, we should all just let's bail on it.
That could be an end of an era.
It could be. We'll have to have some sort of funeral for our copies.
Right. Well, on that, we'll call it a day, and we'll be back next week with more game stuff. So say goodbye, Matt.
Bye.
And it's goodbye from me, and we will see you all on the next Idiot Gamer podcast.